Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mikhail Mianie, and I am the founder and the supervisor of studies of Scientific and Educational Center. The object in view of the speech is to introduce the basic stages of forming, the basic stages of development of human consciousness. In other words, these are the basic stages of the personality forming, not just from the point of view of development of human organism, aging and the corresponding problems, but from the point of view of achievement of the highest results in life. The basic questions to be introduced here are: the first point is the short representation of our approach and the principles our research is based upon. The second one is description of the stages. And the third point includes other fulfilled tasks and our offers. So, let's start with the short representation of our direction. On the one hand, the science keeps on developing, and psychology as well. On the other hand, the amount of vices and psycho-emotional problems is still growing with at least the same speed. So, there are many reasons to develop such area. The key statements are the practical application as the object, the way of the practical application, the key points we are based on, and the solved tasks. The first task of the given area is not just to investigate something in a person. The ultimate goal is forming of the perfect human being. And in our opinion, this should be the most important task in psychology, and not only in psychology, but in the science as a whole. The most crucial task for society and for each country. There is one simple reason. The perfect society is the perfect person first of all. Imperfect society and all its problems are caused by people with their problems, evil, impolite, alcoholics, drug addicts, etc. Such people show no dignity. The main object of this area is forming of the personality. This is the first point. The second one is how we see it, the basic practical ways of application, implementation of the given approach. The first basis, in many respects, is similar to the approach used in the best times of the mankind. I mean use of the long-term programs for personality forming. Each person should learn this. If we don't learn to be worthy, then we will be shaped by television, by street, various computer games, etc. The second basic point is the set of tasks and conditions affecting personality forming. In the third part, we describe the basis of the specified area, including long-term programs of training. To solve this problem, first, we had to develop the corresponding spiritual and moral standard, or so-called the standard for the dignified person. And our task was to pick up all the best from today's society and from the history. In this case, this would be the standard created on scientific basis. After the standard, we should solve the second problem, which is one of the most crucial in modern science. I'm talking about working out of general theory of human consciousness. As we all know, this problem has not been solved yet in psychology. And the third basis, which is also very important, to define what knowledge we should form, as this should be the knowledge necessary for almost every human being who wants to change himself or herself and the whole life to better, to become a dignified personality, to be happy, to become successful. Such knowledge is important for everybody. The core that should be developed is the knowledge the corresponding training programs will be based on. And now, I'd like to say some words about the theory, the general theory of human consciousness, that is the basis for this research work. Most of scientists research consciousness as the brain function. In this case, our approach is completely different. We consider the consciousness as a supercomputer with its special architecture. And this computer works with information. The next topic is how the mentioned model looks. It has some levels. The lowermost level is information of some kind. The first kind is a spoken word, some text, some formalized information, or any thought in consciousness, which is the program for our computer functioning. The second kind is some image. All images are any non-formalized information, such as pictures, sounds, whatever. The consciousness processes this information and transforms it into thoughts or programs that can be used. The third kind is sensations, that are our reactions of our consciousness, and in some cases, our body reactions. I mean pleasure, fear, some feelings, enthusiasm or inspiration. And the fourth kind is the energy, as the concept, something that stimulates sensations. The information is processed, similar to computer processing. How is it processed? There are so-called thought structures, some kind of the processors, and each of them solves its special problem. These are the processors. Then we have memory, which obviously stores the info, and the operating part, which uses the installed operating system to control all active processes. And these devices are united into certain computer boards. Our thought structures and our other components are placed on them. And there are 12 computer boards, or the consciousness centers like this, in our scheme. They are also united into bigger parts of consciousness. The operating part, or the basic part, is what we see, feel, think. This is our basic consciousness. Other parts function mostly automatically, and they are programmed or reprogrammed by the basic consciousness. So, the consciousness is the supercomputer with its certain architecture, and it is programmed by the information. All our research work is carried out on the basis of this statement. And one of the most significant advantages is that almost all known properties of consciousness are described within one model, with numerous details, of course. A few more words about the introduction. All I'm telling about, all our workings out, are not just theoretical. This has been proved during the last 20 years. The basic projects, the basic ways of realization. The first one is the training course of personality forming conducted on a regular basis. It is active and the final goal is reforming of existing educational system so that it would be possible to save about 50% of school hours for forming of the personality. Personal qualities such as purposefulness, communication skills, strong will, goodwill, self-control, and others are always important for everyone, no matter what your occupation is. So, our ultimate goal is the personality forming as the main task of the system of education. The following topic, the stages of consciousness forming or the personality forming. First of all, let's specify our basic requirements in this question. Our object in view is to understand what everyone needs to reach the highest results, both in the inner world, to be happy, self-reliant, etc., and in his or her everyday life and the destiny, both in career and in relationship, and in other spheres as well. The first requirement is what everyone needs to reach the highest result. The second one, certainly, everything we consider here is considered from the point of view of development of information processes, and that is how the information transforms in consciousness. The stages should be qualitatively and accurately separated from each other. The tasks for solution on every stage should be defined. The third requirement. All this should not be just research work. All this should be extremely useful and effective. In other words, at the end of our work, we should have the full list of questions for the person to understand and to solve, to get to the best results. What we should remove in our life, in ourselves, to get rid of the problems we have, so that we could come closer to those best results we are able to achieve. These are three basic requirements. Using them and certainly studying everything that was happening to people, we were able to specify the following four stages of development of human consciousness. The first stage almost doesn't depend on the will of a person, as everyone is born very little. This is the stage of initial knowledge accumulation, the stage of external programming, when you are told something and you believe it. You just don't have any additional sources of information. During the first stage you accumulate the info, and if you pass through it successfully, then the following stage will activate your search for the answers to the questions. Like, who am I? What should I live for? What is my place in this world? So, the second stage is our self-knowledge, a definition of the place to study in, definition of what to live for, and each person should answer these questions. Someone in the age of 5 years, there are such cases, and someone could not answer or even ask them until passing away. The statistics says that almost 97% of people don't have their own objects. I mean, the definite ones. As soon as you have determined the objects in your life, you start the third stage, which is the purposeful training for achievement of these goals. Education, shaping of personal qualities, some other conditions. And when you are ready, here comes the fourth, final stage, for it can take you very long. So, this is the purposeful movement to your goals. This is logical. And now a bit more in detail concerning each stage. Of course, there are a lot of details. The first stage, what does it look like? A newborn baby, with mom and dad or somebody who will play their role during the first few years of life. So these are the unique sources of information. The baby automatically accepts their belief and copies their reactions that can be seen, heard or felt. The baby doesn't need to transform the information. In fact, in the beginning, babies doesn't have any self-esteem to choose what is necessary, what to accept and what to reject. There is no criticality so far. These are the basic conditions. There are no goals, no self-estimation, no criticality. That's why external programming is the main factor. This stage may have different scenarios, but there are at least two basic opposite variants. The first and the best one is when you solve all primary tasks, and this allows you to pass to the following stage successfully. The second and the worst variant is when you can't complete the previous stage and move to the following one. What tasks all of us should solve? The most important is to see lots of opportunities when you look around. So, the first point is to see these opportunities. The second is when you know the rules how to use them. The third point is when you can see the certain differences between people and when you understand the variants of your destiny. Let's see what is the difference between the destiny of a businessman and the life of some vagabond or an alcoholic.